Welcome to the home of Tillamook natural cheddar cheese. The story of this most unique and important industry dates back to 1851, when pioneers discovered our isolated coastal valley and knew they had found their greener pastures. 7 streams danced their way to the ocean. Gentle rains and mists produced lush meadows. The Indian name was Tillamook, land of many waters. Farmers' dairy herds flourished on the rich grassland nurtured by the rain. Large amounts of sweet, rich milk were produced in this mild climate. From this abundant milk supply, the early settlers produced salted butter. There was, however, one problem. The dairy farmers needed to trade the butter for supplies, but their isolation left them far from established trade routes. Their enterprising solution was launched January 5, 1855, and christened the Morning Star. In 1894, a new era began in the Tillamook Valley. T.S. Townsend, envisioning a productive cheese factory, hired a Canadian cheesemaker by the name of Peter McIntosh to share the art of making fine, natural cheddar cheese. By 1909, there were many operating cheese factories in Tillamook County. 10 of the factories formed a cooperative, the Tillamook County Creamery Association, to establish consistent cheese quality. Since its inception, the association works to preserve the highest standards of quality for its world-renowned cheeses. From humble beginnings, this industry has spanned nearly 100 years. An industry that today supplies markets the world over with heavenly cheddar from Tillamook, Oregon. The first step in our cheese-making process is acquiring the milk necessary for making quality cheeses. The milk comes from the 196 dairies that are members of the Tillamook County Creamery Association. The beginning of the cheese-making cycle starts here, with herds of Holstein, Jersey, and Guernsey cows grazing on the lush meadows and river valleys of Tillamook County. Each farm has an average 125 milking cows, with an additional 100 young stock or pregnant cows. Half the farms are second-generation farms, and some dairies have been in the same family since the 1800s. The dairy farmer is a veterinary technician maintaining the health of a productive herd, properly managed for maximum quality and volume. The farmer is an animal nutritionist formulating the proper feed mixture, an engineer who designs, selects, operates, and repairs his sophisticated equipment. And he or she is a business manager, dedicated to operating a successful family business 365 days a year. At each dairy farm, milk is sampled for quality, butter fat, and protein before it's loaded into a sanitized truck. The milk is rushed to our receiving dock, where a second sample is taken for quality testing while being transferred to a stainless steel holding tank. From the holding tank, the milk passes through a heat exchanger, followed by a vacuum treatment to enhance growth of cheese culture and assure consistent quality of heavenly Tillamook cheddar. The milk is now ready for the giant cooking vats. Each vat holds 25,000 quarts of milk. It takes 5 of these quarts to make 1 pound of cheese. Each vat of milk will yield about 5,500 pounds of Tillamook cheddar. The temperature of the milk in the cooking vats is controlled by hot water jackets in the wall of each vat and is held at 88 degrees. Double-edged blades rotate inside the vats to stir the liquid and slice it as it thickens with cooking. In our laboratory, a culture of lactic acid bacteria known as starter is cultivated and tested for quality before being added to the vat of milk. This starter develops the acidity necessary in the production of cheddar cheese. A vegetable coloring is added to the milk for uniformity of appearance. rennet is added to start coagulation and aid in cheese ripening. After 25 minutes of thickening, the milk has congealed into a custard-like mass. Agitator knife blades rotate slowly through the vat, slicing the milk into long spaghetti-like strands of curd, which are then broken into tiny curds by gently stirring. After cutting, the liquid whey separates from the curds as the temperature is gradually raised to 100 degrees and is maintained for 40 minutes. When cooking is completed, the curds and whey are pumped into the next stage, the giant Cheddar Master unit. In the Cheddar Master, a process begins which distinguishes Tillamook cheddar cheese from all other types. The liquid whey and curds cascade upon a network of fine screens and conveyors, allowing the whey to drain from the curd. As the whey is drained, it is pumped to a separator, which reclaims any remaining cream for future use in making creamy Tillamook butter and flavorful Tillamook ice cream. In a building nearby, the liquid whey is dried to a powder to be used in the manufacture of various food products and animal feeds. None of the original milk is lost. Back inside the Cheddar Master, the curds mat together as the mass moves along the conveyor. The curd is turned and tested for proper body, texture, and acidity. When the proper body and acid development occurs, the matted curd is milled by cutting into finger-sized pieces. Dozens of blades slice the mat, while a long blade follows to cut the strands. The curd then moves to the salting chamber, where the milled curd is seasoned. Pendulum-like arms called salt lancers swing across the curd as it's stirred by mixing blades. The milled curd is salted lightly a second time and stirred again while the curd mellows. Once this process is complete, the salted curds containing a small amount of whey are conveyed to the next stop, the curd pressing towers. Now, let's see how the cheddared curd is prepared for aging. When the cheddared curd enters the towers, vacuum and pressure are applied to compact the curd together and remove any remaining whey. After approximately 30 minutes in the tower, a 40-pound block of cheddar is ejected and wrapped in a protective bag. The block is then weighed and vacuum sealed to protect the cheese during the aging process. Each vacuum-sealed 40-pound block of cheese is labeled with date, weight, and VAT number before it is boxed and transferred to the cold storage unit for quick chilling. The cheese is cooled from 90 degrees to 55 degrees in 18 hours. The blocks exit the cold storage to be palletized and sent to the aging room. In our aging rooms, the temperature is kept at a constant 38 degrees. We can age 20 million pounds of cheese at one time. After 60 days, samples of Tillamook cheese are taken to the laboratory where they are inspected for moisture, acidity, color, flavor, and texture. The cheese grater determines at this time whether the cheese will be marketed as a medium cheddar or held for 9 months or 15 months and marketed as aged or extra sharp cheese. Once properly aged, the 40-pound blocks are cut into 10-pound, 5-pound, and 2-pound loaves, as well as snack bars, 9-ounce, and random weights. Each size is vacuum sealed to ensure freshness. Blue labels signify medium cheddar, red labels sharp cheddar, and black labels indicate extra sharp cheddar. Tillamook cheese is shipped to market in refrigerated trucks. Most of the cheese goes to the 5 Pacific states of Oregon, Washington, California, Alaska, and Hawaii, although we ship cheese all over the United States. The colorful history of our rich coastal valleys combine with the award-winning traditions of world-renowned cheesemakers to bring you the outstanding flavor and unsurpassed quality of heavenly cheddar from Tillamook, Oregon.